I've been struggling so much with the fun and games beat of my story. Going on a little library writing date today. Pumpkin sourdough with a brown sugar swirl. This past weekend I had to go do a little makeup restock, and I've been seeing brown eyeliner, brown mascara all over like TikTok, FYP, my favorite YouTubers who are using it, and I wanted to try it and share that with you guys. So we're gonna take this morning a little slow and do a little get ready with me. Gua sha. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Gua sha. I hold so much tension in my forehead. That's where I'm starting to get all my wrinkles, and it feels so good. I don't always have time to ice my face or gua sha every morning. I'm trying to get better about it because, you know, consistency is when you see results with these things, but they both feel so good, and I don't know why. Somebody please tell me. I'm a little confused. This brown eyeliner is so dark. It basically looks black. Am I misunderstanding something, like the trend? Is it a different product? Someone help, because this kind of looks the same as my black eyeliner. What did I do wrong? Saw this TikTok that explained how to get the very natural, no makeup look we see rom-com leads wearing. They put a little bit of like brown eyeshadow and they just line the lower lash line, and it makes your eyes pop a little more, and that's my little morning routine. It has been years since I've been in my little local library, and it doesn't have the widest selection. It doesn't have the prettiest spaces. It's not the most aesthetic library for me to film in, but it was nice to mix up my writing routine and get out of the house, go somewhere free and write. So after a quick perusing of the stacks, I quickly realized I wasn't going to find the books that I came here for to do some research. So instead, I sat myself down in the one little study room that we have and wrote down some ideas that I had the other night when I was sitting on the couch. And yeah, I know maybe you're thinking, if I had these ideas the other night, why didn't I write them down immediately? I don't know, maybe I was just being lazy, but I just let it marinate sometimes. Sometimes I feel like if I lose the idea and it doesn't come back to me, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I'm just lazy. But it also didn't strike me as something that needed to be captured. Like, these ideas were for the end that I've already written. I'm not going to touch that again until draft 2 when I'm doing developmental edits. I just think now that I've already written it and it's in the back of my head, I'm already realizing some plot holes, things that don't make sense, details that need to be added. So we're gonna jot them down and hopefully be able to find them in my chaos notebook later. But after I captured those notes, I just sat down and got some writing done, and I listened to a new playlist which had a lot of really bad music. I thought it was gonna suit the scene that I was writing, a very specific element of it. Lots of not fitting music, lots of skips used, but I did find this gem. This was really good. If you guys want to go listen to this, I wish I could put it in the video as the background music, but you know, copyright. I ended my library writing session with just a little over 1,000 words, which wasn't bad for the short amount of time that I spent writing there. A little flashback to this morning when I was making my pumpkin sourdough. I think this is like the third time I've made a sourdough with a cinnamon swirl in it. If I've learned anything, it's that you need a lot of cinnamon sugar mixture to get the nice swirl and flavor in there. This loaf turned out huge, but it made for a great little snack during my reading session break. So today is proving to be a much harder filming day than I had anticipated. And by that, I just mean there's just so much noise and I'm having to reposition myself a lot. So my fiance is having a lot of meetings today. He works from home and we live in like a studio room. So we basically live in one big room. And so you can hear everything that they're saying. So I can't really film in there if I need to talk to you guys. I'm in our like guest room, like this side. We don't typically heat or air condition it. I mean, when guests come over, like we'll pull in like space heaters and AC units, and it's like one room, so it like cools down or heats up pretty fast. And sometimes I'll use this for like my stickers and stuff, but we don't really live on this side or use it, so it feels weird to be over here. It's not super aesthetic. Right now I have this cute little painting. It's not a painting. It's like wood carving, layered wood art that I got at a market when I was with a friend, and I just have it hanging up there instead of in our actual apartment because there are nails in the wall that we need to take out, and like the bed's right there, so I don't want people to like lean back and hit their head on a nail. There's a painting there, so like that's not the most comfy, but it's better than hitting your head. And then I hope you can't hear it, but like some kind of contractor has their storage room across the street and they're working on something outside their shed. So they have like the radio playing really loud out of a car. Ooh, this is a little hot. So yeah, this day just isn't really going to plan. And then writing at the library did not go as planned either. I mean, writing itself was productive. I got over 1,000 words, and I'm really happy on that progress because I was working on a scene where I've been struggling. Like, I didn't write at all last week. Today is Monday, so we'll loop back around to Monday. But I didn't write all week because 1, I was busy. 2, I was also kind of like stressing, like, what am I going to do for the scene? How do I tackle this? What do I do? So I was hoping to go to the library. I've been hoping to go to the library for about a month now to see if I could find some sources, some books, some nonfiction sources on the topics of hot air balloons and Venetian masks. Yes, for the same story. Those are related somehow. Like, I live in my hometown again. It's been years since I lived here. It's been years since I've been to the library, and I've noticed that they have like professional librarians now, and it's a more robust library program. I'm pretty sure it used to just be like a couple ladies would donate their time to like reshelf books and maybe order some books and run like a kids summer reading program. Now it's a lot more robust. It's in a much nicer building. It has nice furniture and seating. It only has one study room there though, and I was like, what? I just kept wandering around the library, and eventually the librarian was like, oh, you can use that study room. And I was like, oh, that's it. Like, there wasn't just like a big open table for me to sit at in the library. It was all like chairs with a coffee table, or if there was desks, it had like kids' crafts on them or computers. And I was just like, I just want to sit at a desk and write in the open. But I ended up just going in that little study room, and it felt very much like college days, which was a weird throwback. Just holing up in a study room, finding some peace and quiet and privacy. So that was not the vibe I was expecting. However, I do think it helped to change up my environment and get out of the house, and now I know what it's like to write there. It's also like a decent walk from my house. It's about 10 minutes or so. So yeah, the seating arrangement in the library was disappointing, but also the selection of books. Like, I don't remember them having a huge selection when I was younger, but I also wasn't only looking for nonfiction when I was younger. Like, I was just trying to find decent fiction to read, and they never had like the most updated titles. Now they still have some really obscure titles that like I've never heard of and I don't know who's reading them, but they do have at least a handful of like really, really big titles. I think they rely heavily on like the library like interloan system. I don't know. There's probably like a more official, better name for that, but basically we'll order it for you from another library and then you can check it out for X amount of weeks. Or they say like use Libby or Hoopla. And I use Libby. I have Libby. I have not used Hoopla. I don't know if it's any better, if there's a wider selection on it or not. Have any of you guys used Hoopla before? They did not have any of those books that I wanted on those topics and I was sad. I feel like when I go into draft 2, I am going to want more of that research. So it was disappointing that I didn't have those books, but I think I've decided if I can like do the journalist like TK, come back to this later, make some notes in the margins, that I think that's how I'm going to write my first draft. But where I'm writing at right now really makes me understand why people would do a zero draft or think of it as a zero draft, because it's definitely where I'm at right now. I also just wanted to sit and have some chatty time with you guys today. I've got my chai tea. This last weekend I got myself some like reading snacks. I've had these from Aldi, these pumpkin spice mini biscotti. Those go really well in my chai tea to dip. My fiance makes fun of me because he thinks biscotti are like old lady treats. I feel like biscotti are like kind of hip and trendy. I feel like only like the city people or like Europeans know, but maybe I have the wrong image and I am just an old lady that likes to dip cookies in her tea. And then I've wanted these for a really long time and I finally got some this weekend. I went on a little Marshall's Five Below wandering. They're only the tip. These ones are the salted caramel version. So it's like if you've ever had like a drumstick, like the ice cream cone, the vanilla one dipped in chocolate and nuts, and then the cones like covered in chocolate, and at the very bottom there's like tons of chocolate, and you like, oh, that's always my favorite part. Like I love drumsticks, and the bottom of the cone was always my favorite. And I see these things all the time. I think the normal ones, like just straight chocolate, are blue. And I see them all the time at like Menards and Five Below and Marshall's, like the obscure snack places. I've never seen them at like Aldi or Walmart or just like a normal grocery store. So I finally got some and they're good, but it's not the same satisfaction as when you eat the whole cone. Like that cone is crunchier, maybe because it's been in the freezer too. The chocolate's like harder, but I'm also wondering if it's because I got the sea salt caramel ones. So it's like chocolate and then there's a sea salt center, but it's not like normal caramel. It's just like soft, or just imagining it to be very different from what it is. So maybe they're still good, don't get me wrong, but maybe I will try the normal ones and see if they have that same crunch. Otherwise, this might not be the dream that I thought it was. So those are my reading snacks to go along with what I'm currently reading, Kingdom of Ash. Which, like, duh, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I just finished the tandem read and I have a whole tandem reading experience download vlog. So naturally, of course, Kingdom of Ash comes next, and I'm already a big chunk through, almost halfway. I haven't updated my Goodreads yet with where I'm at, but last I checked, I was only 30% through, and I'd already cried once. And I don't want to put it down. My plan today is to try and have another writing session, but I also want to take some time to read, but I know it's going to be really hard to stop because I didn't want to stop reading yesterday. There have been like 3 times now where my fiance, I'll like read in bed at night and I'll have the lamp and the light on and stuff, and my fiance will come to bed and I'm like, no, because we don't have, like, we have to turn off all the lights because we don't have, like, I don't have a little tiny reading light or a side table or anything, and I'm just not ready. But it's also late and I know I'm tired, so like, I don't know, I'm flying through this, and it's the last one, which makes me sad, but it's also so good. Oh, I also wanted to explain I probably should have started with this. Today is Monday. Normally Mondays are work days for me. The coffee shop is closed on Mondays. However, I'm usually running a bunch of errands for the coffee shop. But because of the week I had last week and the weekend as well, like Sunday ended up doing like all the work that I normally do on a Monday, I decided I'm going to take Monday and make that a day for myself. I am really lucky that I have the ability to like move my schedule around like that. So that's why we went to the library today. This is why we're gonna do some reading, and I'm gonna try and do some more writing. I do have like a little bit of stuff I need to do for the coffee shop, but that's more so like recipe testing, and that's fun because I just like make things and like consume them and take some notes. So like that just kind of checks two boxes where I'm testing something, but if I do it in the right time, then it's also a meal for us. I'm a little stressed to write this afternoon. Like I'm glad I'm taking a break to eat and catch up with you guys and to read. Like I just finished writing a complicated section, or what felt like a complicated scene, and I know I'm not fully satisfied with it. Partially because I don't have the research in there that I want, but also because I took that dialogue first, like writing strategy. Like when you're stuck, like dialogue first is always like the easiest thing to do. I'm wondering like, should I go back to that and try and flesh some of that stuff out, or do I just leave that until draft 2? Like, can I even call that a first draft if I don't have those details in there? I think I'm just going to keep pushing ahead because if I want to meet my soft goal of Thanksgiving, I have 63 days left to write. My word count is still like super low to reach 50,000, which isn't a full fantasy book, but I'm also okay with it being a novella. However, I'm also an underwriter. Like dialogue first is definitely the easiest writing thing for me. And the more I've written, the more I've noticed sometimes I will hone in on specific things, whether it's actually setting the scene and then there's a lot of scene description and like then the dialogue kind of goes to the wayside, or it's very dialogue heavy. Every now and then, when my word counts are pretty high, I'd say for writing session, I am having a good balance between those things. But again, this is just me learning about how I write in the first draft. And the more I do this, I feel like the easier it's going to get, the more detail, the better I'll be at planning and outlining. I think I'll always be a discovery writer, but as I work through Project Old Lovers, I am learning a lot of new stuff and putting that into work. This fun and games portion is proving to be really tricky, and I do wonder if that's because my subplots are not fully fleshed out, and because that's like what fun and games is. It's all about those subplots and delving into things. I think writing the fun and games section can be the hardest for any new writer. It's this very scary unknown section. Writing this section feels like I'm trying to walk on like lily pads, which sounds stupid, but like try and picture like the really big ones that can actually like support a human's weight. Those are the ones where it's still like as you walk, you're still like sloshing around on water, your feet are getting a little bit wet, like you're just not sure like what the heck are we doing kind of vibe. But that's what the first draft is for. So because I've been struggling so much with the fun and games beat of my story, I revisited Save the Cat Writes the novel to read the fun and games portion and try and figure out what I'm possibly struggling with, what I can be doing better, what I'm forgetting. Key takeaway, the fun and games portion is the promise of the premise. So this is the portion that intrigued people, that made people want to pick up your book. So I need to think about that. What is making people pick up this book? What was the idea that sparked? The other important thing is that even though it's called Fun and Games, your protagonist might not be having a good time because they're in this new world. They're in a new stage of their life, or they are literally in a new world, especially if you're writing fantasy or some kind of adventure. Save the Cat also recommends that the fun and game portion be looked at like a bouncing ball. So that old school rising exposition climax, that's happening over and over again in fun and games. It's not just rising to one big incident. Readers enjoy multiple struggles. We enjoy the tension. Kingdom of Ash, like there are multiple struggles happening, multiple on the edge of your seat moments. The whole book feels like fun and games. And I feel like in what I just wrote, we just overcame one of those tiny feelings of failure for the protagonist. I don't want to bring us down to a place where it's really boring and we're lore dumping or anything, but I'm also trying to balance these two POVs. So what I'm going to do from here, I think, is actually switch POVs. That feels like the right pacing. There are a couple other things that I didn't mention in the fun and games portion of Save the Cat. So if you haven't bought this book, I highly recommend it. This isn't like endorsed or anything. This genuinely is just such a game changer. Like totally changed my life as a writer. So there are some other gold nuggets in here in that section. If you are struggling to plot or write your story, or with the fun and games section in particular, go get this book, read it, please. We are going to end our writing session here today. I ended with 747 words, which means we're just shy of 2,000 from my earlier writing session today. And on that note, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you like it. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. Until next time, cheers.